Good afternoon, Ambassador. My name is Hannah Blomberg, and I am head of the Strategic Analysis and Outreach in the Norwegian Police Security Service. And it's a pleasure being here today in Reykjavik to talk about our threat assessments, our outreach activity, and our strategic communication. And my goal for today is twofold. My first goal is to offer some insights into how we, as a security service, aim to contribute to public debate in Norway, and how we try to do that in an efficient and balanced and nuanced and useful way. My second goal is to give you the key takeaways from our threat assessment for 2025, so you can be familiar with exactly what it is that we try to communicate. So, let me start off with a few words about the Norwegian Police Security Service. We are, as Kjell Inge already said, Norway's domestic intelligence and security service. And our main responsibility is to prevent serious crimes that threaten national security. And our focus is on threats and threat actors that are operating within Norway, that is inside Norway borders. And these threats include threats related to intelligence, to sabotage, the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, terrorism, extremism, as well as threat to dignitaries. And in addition to preventing serious crimes, we shall also support Norwegian authorities in decision-making in security matters. And we share this duty with our two sister services, the Norwegian Intelligence Service, the NIS, and the Norwegian National Security Authority, the NNSA. And together, the three of us, we form the community of secret services in Norway, and we provide decision support through different processes, very often coordinated, to the government, to ministries, to directorates, and to governmental offices. And after all, we are a secret service, and most of the products that we have and most of the advice that we give will be classified information. However, part of our duty is also to inform the public, including Norwegian institutions and Norwegian companies, by presenting our analysis of expected developments in the threat situation. And for obvious reasons, we cannot give away classified information, but contributing to a common threat perception is still a priority for our service. And the significance of that work is perhaps greater now than ever before, as the threat landscape is becoming more and more complex. There are two main reasons for us why it is so important to take part in public discourse and to communicate to the public. The first one has to do with prevention. If we as a society shall protect ourselves, let's say from influence operation, from state actors, or from terrorism, we need a common understanding of the threat picture. So in our mind, threat communication is an integral part of prevention. Nobody can protect themselves if you don't know what it is you're protecting yourself from. So we help society understand what the threats are, against which kind of targets these threats are aiming their actions, and also what kind of methods they're using. The second reason that we engage in this has to do with reputation. A security service in a liberal democracy depends on our reputation as a trustworthy and reliable organization to be able to actually do our work. And ultimately, our goal is to protect the liberal democracy in Norway. And to do that, we think that we have to take part of it. And this ensures that we are trusted, and it also ensures that society understands us when we communicate threats. The main unclassified publication that we had through the course of the year is a national threat assessment. And this report covers threat from state actors and extremists in the year ahead, that is in the year coming. And it's intended to help facilitate a shared national understanding of the threat situation in Norway. And we want to enable actors in society to protect themselves against threats, to raise awareness in society in general, also to support the dialogue about the situation, and to be honest, also to ensure that we as a security service actually get tips from the public, as this is an important source of information for us to understand what is actually going on in a Norwegian society. And thankfully, our sister services, the NIS and the NNSA, also have their annual threat assessment for their areas of responsibility. So the NIS describes the threat picture outside of Norway, PST describes a threat picture inside of Norway, and the NNSA describes vulnerabilities and risks in Norway that can be used by these threat actors. And together, the three assessments provide essential input to the common understanding of the threat picture to Norway. We also, as Kjell Inge pointed out, we publish our assessment on the very same day, early in February each year. We also publish them on our website, and you can actually get them all in a printed version, and PST's version look like this, even exists in English. And during the past years, we have had a joint press conference with all the three services acting together. And the press conference is actually widely covered in Norway news media, so we get quite a lot of publicity in early February each year. And in PST, we use this product throughout the year in our outreach activity. And if there are changes in the threat situation that society needs to be informed about, after we have published the yearly threat assessment, then we make updated, often short assessments, which we publish on our website, and sometimes we also have press conferences concerning that. For example, this has been done when there's been changes in the terrorism threat. So, that was a little bit about what lies behind this project. Now I think I will give you a little bit about the key takeaways from the National Threat Assessment to give you an idea of the strategic messages that we try to convey to the public. And since I work with counterintelligence, I will focus on state actors. But for those of you who are interested in reading the complete version, you'll find it in English on our website, pst.no. So, over this past year, we have seen several examples in Europe of the severity in the threat from state actors. During 2024, Russia has succeeded in carrying out dozens of sabotage acts and disruptive activity on European soil, ranging from minor incidents like tagging to quite severe incidents, such as setting fire on warehouses. We have yet not seen these kinds of actions in Norway, but we assess it as likely that this will occur in Norway in 2025. So, unsurprisingly, we expect that Russia will remain the greatest threat against security in Norway. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine and the deteriorating relationship between Russia and the West, continue to characterize the threat situation. The security situation has increased Russian intelligence services' willingness to take risks, both in Europe and also in Norway. And as I said, we are particularly concerned that in 2025, Russia will try to carry out sabotage or disruptive activity in Norway. We also see that Russia is attempting to rebuild its capacity to engage in intelligence activities from its embassy in Oslo after the Norwegian government declared a number of intelligence officers persona non grata in Norway in 2023, and at that time severely reducing the number of intelligence officers from Russia in Norway. Another state that we focus on that is China. And the intelligence threat from China is significant, and we expect it to grow. And in the year ahead, Chinese intelligence and security services will continue to carry out information gathering to silence critical voices and to influence groups and individuals in Norway. And in our threat assessment, in addition to Russia and China, we also point to other countries like Iran and North Korea. So that was a little bit about the states that pose a threat to Norway. Now we'll talk a little bit about intelligence targets and why they are targets. And in our threat assessment, we point to 6 different targets that we consider to be particularly vulnerable, and many of these are the same as in previous years. And this is because these targets are within areas where Norwegian politics, geography, or competence are of importance to and could affect other states' strategic and economic interests. The first target is political decision-making processes. And the main reason for this is that many political decisions made in Norway may affect other states' interests. And we have seen several operations against such processes and individuals in Norway. For example, in 2020 and 2021, when China and Russia conducted cyber operations against the Norwegian parliament. The second target is the High North. And several states, such as Russia and China, have ambitions to strengthen their influence and secure their own interests in this area. And therefore, foreign states' intelligence services are actively working to collect information and to influence Norwegian processes for future development in the north. The third target is defense and preparedness. For example, the Norwegian Armed Forces and allied military activity in Norway have for a long time been of interest for foreign activity, especially from the Russian intelligence services, and this will continue. We also assess that targets connected to military support to Ukraine will be especially vulnerable in 2025 to intelligence operation. The fourth target is natural resources. And Norway administers natural resources that are of huge importance to other states' energy supply. And this has also been for a long time an intelligence target in Norway, and it will continue to be so. Maybe of greater importance now after the war in Ukraine than before. The fifth group is dissidents, opposition groups, and refugees. And we have seen that both China, Iran, and several other authoritarian states spend considerable resources in Norway on mapping, surveilling, influencing, and sometimes also threatening their own nationals residing in Norway. And they do this to undermine or to eliminate political opposition against their own regime. The last target that we point to is research and development. And research and development, for instance, within the field of technology, is important to preserve competitive power within the business and industry sector, and is also essential within the military domain. And Russia, in particular, needs Western technology to maintain its military capacity and ability to wage war in Ukraine. And last year, Russia tried to procure sanctioned technology from several Norwegian companies using Chinese intermediaries. We have also seen that companies in Europe are being exploited for covert procurement attempts from Russia. And this activity we expect will continue in 2025. Research institutions and knowledge enterprises are also vulnerable to approaches from foreign states. And we have several examples of foreign states using research collaboration and international conferences to gain access to sensitive technology or sensitive information. And the most active state in Norway concerning research institutions is China. Further, foreign states and their intelligence services operating in Norway use a range of different tools and methods for achieving their goals. And we expect to see recruitment of human resources in Norway, especially from the Russian and Chinese intelligence services. We also expect to see cyber operations. And the threat to Norway in the cyber domain is significant, but it's also unpredictable, as cyber operations are becoming increasingly more difficult to detect. Third, we also expect to see influence operations, and this includes a broad spectrum of means ranging from legitimate nation promotion on the one hand to illegal and illegitimate means on the other. And we expect that authoritarian states will engage in influence operations in Norway in 2025. Fourth, we expect to see foreign civilian vessels among Russian civilian vessels used as intelligence platform. Along Norway's coast, there is infrastructure and activity of interest to foreign states, and we expect civilian vessels to be used to map these assets. Fifth, we expect to see security-threatening economic means, and this also covers a wide range of activities, for example, investments and acquisitions of property and companies in Norway. Last but not least, we also expect to see sabotage and disruptive activity. And as I pointed out earlier, we now assess that Russian intelligence services are likely to carry out sabotage acts against targets in Norway in 2025. And the purpose of these actions will be to prevent us from making deliveries to Ukraine or to influence public opinion on support for Ukraine in a negative direction. So, to sum up, we are facing a threat situation in Norway that is more challenging than it has been in a long time. And we think that 2025 will be marked by hybrid threats such as sabotage, influence, and illegal intelligence activity. And these methods, they create uncertainty, unrest, and fear in the population, and ultimately, they might also corrode democracy. This makes the threat from state actors more challenging than they ever have been in Norway. So, before I end my speech, I'd like to go back to our threat communication activities, since this is based upon our national assessment. Preparing and presenting the assessment in a joint press conference is sort of only the starting point for us. Threat communication is something that we constantly work on and that we do throughout the year. And PST has several teams working on awareness-raising activities. For instance, in our counterintelligence department, we have a unit designated to such activities. We also have district units that engage in similar activities outside of Oslo. And at the core of our threat communication and involvement with public debate is also our communication unit. And this team is keeping a very close touch with Norwegian media organization, and we receive among 1,000 requests for comments and contribution every month. We are also present in various social media services, and we also have our own podcast with episodes on a great variety of topics. Unfortunately, that one is in Norwegian. So all in all, PST's threat communication happens on many different arenas and also through many different channels. Thank you.